I think when I was first starting out writing my book, I mean, people were pretty skeptical that things like Starlink would work, that we'd
Yeah.
even see this first wave of like 10,000 satellites or 20,000. To me, even with comms and imaging alone, I can see a pretty clear case to, I don't know, 40, 50, 60,000 satellites. There is still some frustration, at least for me. It's always like, well, what's next? What else can we actually do in space? And I don't know. You guys you and I haven't talked about this in a long time. Who comes up with what that like increases even more demand for these launches?
I mean, it's a good question, and I think everybody needs to understand also that we're pretty much at the beginning of this, right? I mean, if we're honest, like it's really only sort of 5 years since launch cadence and costs have dramatically changed, both on the medium class and on the small size class. I mean, before Electron, you had to buy a Pegasus if you want a dedicated small rocket at $50 million. So we're right really at the beginning of this kind of evolution, and costs are only going to go down. It's only getting less expensive here, and as the scale of spacecraft go up, the cost of all the components and everything in them continues to go down and down and down. So a whole bunch of things that just wouldn't have been economically viable all of a sudden become very economically viable. So I'm not going to try and pontificate what might be next, because I think I know well enough that the biggest thing yet to be done in space hasn't even been thought of yet. So I think we're very early in this journey.
I mean, I've always felt the same way. I think I kind of argued parts of that. I don't know if I'm surprised. I would have thought somebody would have cracked the nut on one or two other big things already. I know you said you won't pontificate, but there's nothing on the list of whether it's like what Varda is doing with trying to get manufacturing going, or I mean, I do hear the AI people talking about the data center in space stuff all the time. I don't know, any of those jump out at you as possibly more realistic than others?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, once the economics keep driving to different places, I think a lot of those things become much more viable and feasible. I think one thing I think that will be interesting is the evolution of the commercial space station, and I think that will drive a new human exploration, solution and requirement. So I think, space stations have been government assets, run like government assets, and just like rockets were government assets, now we're going to have commercial space stations. So I think that will be very, very interesting to see how that plays out, because if the ability to build a space station and operate it dramatically reduces in cost, the ability to get there dramatically reduces in cost, then all of a sudden there's not just tourism I'm talking about. I think it's much more useful for things than that. But all of a sudden accessing low Earth orbit in a human sense is going to become much more viable, and then all of the stuff that you can do with that.
So, like when you say more useful than tourism, you're talking about what, like some kind of manufacturing, more science?
Exactly. Yeah. All of the above. Yeah. And just
okay.
the ability to build more stuff as well. I mean, it's sort of a circular reference and self-feeding, that if you can get up there and you can build this stuff easily, then you'll build more and more of it. And as you build more and more of it, then it continues to grow.
You guys just announced point-to-point transport deal was it with the Air Force? Which branch of the military?
AFRL, yeah, Air Force Research Laboratory.
And that's scheduled, I think, for 2026?
No, sooner than 2026, yeah.
Oh, okay. And the idea there is like some kind of proof of concept of taking some cargo from one point on Earth through space to another place.
Yeah. And look, everybody's very early in this concept, but I mean, at least technically that's feasible. And if you can get your launch costs down far enough, then, for obviously they're going to be super high value cargoes, but there's plenty of examples of those. So I think it could be pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but like I've heard, I mean, this has been a fantasy of
Yeah.
sci-fi people and space people for years and years and years. So what? It just took us to this point of like cost, reusability, all these things to start actually being able to run these tests.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
And that's something you think stays in the military, like super high value payload for a very long time, or that I don't know. Where do you see that going? I'm kind of fascinated.
Look, I'm probably not a subscriber to the New York, London ballistic rocket, air travel or space travel, as it may be. I think at the end of the day, human spaceflight, by the very nature of it, remains risky. You have tremendous energy stored and released. So whenever you do those things, it's kind of, and a safety factor of 1.1 by the necessity of the rocket equation, then you always are going to end up in a situation where that's just a little bit more dodgy than not.